I completely understand where you guys are coming from. And when y'all said is true, that's why I was nodding my head and agreeing with you guys. But then you guys are saying that once I say, but ultimately it is only for themselves, this is when the statement falls apart, because Christians, if they're capable of doing selfless things, then atheists are capable of doing selfless things too. And you're saying that means, therefore, it's not only for themselves, because even if they did remotely one thing that was selfless in their life, they didn't live just for themselves. And I completely agree with what you're saying. Now let's go into the next dimension.
Everyone please observe. The fasten seatbelt and no smoking signs have been turned on. Sit back and enjoy your flight.
We're in.
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told it to you.
If you could kindly tap the screen, let's get some engagement in here. Want some more traffic. Let's see if we can get somebody that is willing to talk about this. I'm not here to argue, I'm not here to debate. I just want to have a conversation.
My friend, how are you?
Hey Lucas, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm gonna let you do your thing, man. Just want to jump in, say hi, and love what you do, man. Love talking to you every time.
You can just hang tight, you just mute up. That
Hey,
way
Sure, yeah.
this doesn't come in. KT,
So-
how are you?
Hey, how are you? I disagree with your backdrop poster because I don't think all atheists think that their version or idea or concept of good is completely selfless, first of all, but I also disagree that it's only for themselves.
Okay, I can agree with your statements. But that's why I have specifically in quotations, good atheists, because I would ask these atheists, where does their goodness come from and why do they do good? And all of these atheists tend to repeat the same exact answers and say, oh, it's out of selflessness.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future.
And for me, I would always say, no, that's horseshit. We don't always do everything for selfless reasons. There's many times where I've done things for selfish reasons.
Hey, do that thing for Baywatch! She's running down the beach!
Look out, Greg! Look behind you! You damn it! Look out! Oh my God! Somebody do something! He's killing you! He's killing you! Greg, hold on!
Absolutely fantastic!
Buffy, wait! You have to go back on stage. No, I have to get to Greg. No, you won! They're calling your name. I won? They're calling your name. Go!
Buffy, what happened? What about Greg?
Oh, fuck Greg! I won! Congratulations! Out of my way, loser!
It was good. I did good for others, but I knew that I would benefit more in the end. So, no, I don't always do things selflessly. And if that's the case and I'm a Christian, how is it that an atheist is always doing good for selfless reasons? That's the reason for the good. And I'm glad you pointed that out. That's something that I do agree with. At least you're more real as a human. You're showing that, hey, there's the good side and then there's also the bad side. And that's a step beyond what most of these atheists on TikTok are professing.
Yeah. But do you think it's possible for somebody to be a truly good atheist, like without the quotation marks? Like, do you think good atheists exist?
Oh yeah, I've been best friends with many of them.
Okay, word.
Mike Choi, when I first met him when I moved to Korea to do my MBA at Yonsei University, he was in the graduating class with my brother, and I met the trio. My brother had two friends, Earl and Mike, and they always hung out together. They were drinking buddies. And then I went out the first night. We went to a restaurant. We were drinking. And then, of course, I brought up God, and Mike was just laughing. He's like, oh my gosh, you believe in that? And we would have conversations all the time while we're drinking, watching UFC, or at the karaoke, or wherever we were. We would always end up talking about God, and we would always be shouting at the top of our lungs, just so passionate about what we believed in. But every time he would come up with some sort of refutation, I would always give him the actual context of what the Word of God is actually saying and really break away those misconceptions in his head. And so one by one, over 2 years, I would disarm all of these arguments that he would bring forth to me. And then finally, one day he calls me out of the blue and he's like, hey man, I just wanted you to know you're the first person I'm telling, but I gave my life to Christ the other day. And it was from someone completely different. I had nothing to do with it. But the fact that he wanted to share that good news with me meant a whole lot, because I was the first person that he told outside of the people at the event. So yes, I'm very good friends with a lot of atheists. Just because you're an atheist doesn't mean that you're my enemy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but it kind of, I guess, like, I don't want to even say it contradicts. I guess what doesn't make sense is, like, the words written up there, like, don't really make sense to me.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, JC, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's that last line, only for themselves. So you just admitted a little earlier that even Christians sometimes don't do good for selfless reasons. And so therefore that puts the atheist and the Christian on the same plane. And if we're on the same plane and a Christian can do things that are not for themselves, then it is therefore possible for an atheist to do things not only for themselves.
Yeah.
So that's where that first statement completely falls apart.
No, it doesn't fall apart. That's when you enter into another dimension, JC.
Going in.
Phase lock 99%. Link is stable.
Hey, guys.
Nah, there's no dimension here. It either is or is not.
I'm sorry. I would like to answer and respond to you guys.
Okay. I just don't believe there's any ambiguity there because you say it's only for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's not ambiguous.
I understand.
Okay.
Did you give me a chance to respond?
Yeah.
If everyone could kindly mute up, I'd like to respond to that and explain to you where this next dimension comes into play. JC, I'll just help you out. So I completely understand where you guys are coming from. And when y'all said is true, that's why I was nodding my head and agreeing with you guys. But then you guys are saying that once I say, but ultimately it is only for themselves, this is when the statement falls apart, because Christians, if they're capable of doing selfless things, then atheists are capable of doing selfless things too. And you're saying that means, therefore, it's not only for themselves, because even if they did remotely one thing that was selfless in their life, they didn't live just for themselves. And I completely agree with what you're saying. Now let's go into the next dimension.
Everyone please observe. The fasten seatbelt and no smoking signs have been turned on. Sit back and enjoy your flight.
We're in.
As the atheist believes that there is no God. And because there is no God, he is the final authority of what he determines as good or bad. So whatever he's doing, whatever he thinks is good, selflessness is good, and he lives according to that, it's still for himself because he is the ultimate authority in his own life. God is not the ultimate authority in the atheist's life. He is. And he states that there is no God. So ultimately, all all the good that you do is for yourself. That's the other dimension that you guys are not considering.
Okay, I think it was presented weird. That's why I didn't understand, because the first part of that, good atheists think their good is selfless, but ultimately it is only for themselves. That sentence right there is a concluding sentence. And like, I guess I didn't understand that the last few things, like vanity is all vanity, Jesus is God, I didn't realize those were kind of premises to try to support that concluding claim at the beginning. So now that you've explained yourself, okay, thank you. Like, I see what you're trying to say now. I still disagree with you, but for different reasons. But I appreciate that you just made that argument because it's a lot more sound now.
JC, would you like to speak? Does that new dimension sound like it's understandable, or do you still think that's hogwash?
Mostly hogwash. I mean, I accept that that's how you believe and that's how you perceive things. I'm right there with you on that. And let me preface that by saying I grew up in the church. I accepted
I'm not
Christ.
surprised, man. I'm not
I
surprised.
accepted Christ at 17.
Caucasian male in your what, mid-50s, 60s?
Thereabouts.
Yeah, so yeah, of course you grew up in the church, man. No surprise there.
Yeah. So anyway, I think the thing about you saying that the atheist is his own authority on what is good, I think that's simplifying it way too much, because it kind of goes both ways. None of us are our own sole authority, because we accept things at a societal level as to what is good and what is acceptable. We accept things within our own smaller communities as to what is good and acceptable. And then there are choices that we make within ourselves.
I'd like to respond to that portion, though.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. But it's really a matter of how many different bubbles that a human creates for themselves in the reality that they exist in.
Hey! Oh, what are you? Some kind of astronaut?
No, I'm some kind of bubble boy.
How do you take a dump in that thing?
Christians make those same bubbles, though. That's why we have different.
I don't disagree with that.
That's why we have different denominations. That's why we have, even within denominations, we have disagreements.
Correct. But my response is this. Just like in The Matrix, how did you do it? And he's like, there is no spoon.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
The Oracle will see you now.
There is no box.
Pen in hand and chain on foot. I must stand, I can't stay put. Darkness keeps me from my pen. Boxed up sheep in lion's den. There is no box, there are no locks. Must grow some rocks and foot I chop. Light is better to keep in stock, for it shall break my writer's block.
But yes, Christians, atheists alike, live in boxes. They're confined in these boxes. And I'm not confined by these boxes. But I find it funny when I see boxed in Christians pointing their fingers at the boxed in unbelievers, and the boxed in unbelievers pointing their fingers at the boxed in Christians. It's like, wow, the devil is having a freaking field day right now.
Hello, Trinity.
Cypher, where's Tank?
You know, for a long time, I thought I was in love with you. I used to dream about you. You're a beautiful woman, Trinity. Too bad things had to turn out this way.
You killed them.
What? I'm tired of this war. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of this ship being cold, eating the same damn goop every day. Most of all, I'm tired of that Jagoff and all of his bullshit. Surprise, asshole. Bet you never saw this coming, did you? God, I wish I could be there. When they break you, I wish I could walk in just when it happens. So right then, you'd know it was me.
You gave them Morpheus.
He lied to us, Trinity. He tricked us. If you would have told us the truth, we would have told you to shove that red pill right up your ass.
That is not true, Cypher. He set us free.
Free. You called this free. All I do is what he tells me to do. If I gotta choose between that and the Matrix, I choose the Matrix.
We're all limited by our own perceptions, though.
Correct. Yeah.
So everybody lives in a box. box. When you say you don't live in a box, yeah, you do.
No, the thing is everyone is put in these boxes because of the social constructs that they are bombarded with. Just like you were saying, like you aren't completely independent because you have to comply.
But we all find our level of comfort in whatever rules or conventions we comply with.
Conform. That's a better
Conform.
word.
Yeah.
That's in the chats. Thank you, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think I've made my point.
Could you say your point again?
Well, I mean, I just, again, I think we're Christians and atheists alike. They're not all purely selfless or purely selfish. And so I guess the question is, take that first statement and explain to me why being a flawed, selfless atheist or a flawed, selfless Christian is better or worse.
Would you like for me to answer that?
Sure.
So if you could kindly mute.
Sure.
It all starts with this word right here and the air quotations. Good atheists are not the same as a regular atheist that knows I consist of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then there's a difference between someone that admits, hey, not everything that I do is selfless. But when these good atheists say that everything that they do is for selfless reasons, oh, they're just so worried about these babies dying of cancer. They're just so worried about world hunger. I mean, they sound like freaking beauty pageant contestants when they're speaking.
And the winner of the 2024 Miss America Beauty Pageant is Miss Caitlin Dickman! Oh my gosh! I can't believe this. This is amazing. What an honor. It is so hard being a woman in a world run by men. So I want to dedicate this award to women all around the world and everything we have to go through. Right, women?
He's a man. He has armpit hair. I can see his dick.
Fuck the patriarchy! Well deserved. This is for you, Caitlyn Jenner. You're my inspiration.
Ugh, I hate 2024.
Sore losers.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those kinds of people. And if you're not that kind of person, I mean, you shouldn't take any offense to this because it's not even addressing you, JC. You understand?
So here's the follow-up question. Could we just substitute the word Christian for atheists?
Good Christians think that their good is selfless, but ultimately it's only for themselves. Yeah, you can interchangeably use that because just like Jesus said, they do these things for their own vainglory. They seek the praises of other men.
I have come with my Father's authority, but you have not received me. When, however, someone comes with his own authority, you will receive him. You like to receive praise from one another, but you do not try to win praise from the one who alone is God. How then can you believe me? Do not think, however, that I am the one who will accuse you to my father. Moses, in whom you have put your hope, is the very one who will accuse you. If you had really believed Moses, you would have believed me, because he wrote about me. But since you do not believe what he wrote, how can you believe what I say?
Okay, so then I think...
Hold up. And one more scripture.
Go ahead.
Why do you call me good? There's only one good, but God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is no good human. I'm not a good human. I'm not a good Christian. I never said I was a good Christian. Ever since I was a little teenager, I tell people, no, I'm a Christian, but I'm not a good Christian. Don't ever look at me as on the freaking cereal box for the poster boy for a good Christian, because I was always the black sheep. I always went against the grain. I was the rebel without a cause.
Every time you can't face yourself, you blame it on me.
That is not true.
You say it's because of me? You say it's because of the neighborhood?
No.
You use every other phony excuse. Mom, I want to do something right. And I don't want you to run away from me again.
So I guess what's the point here? If we can interchange atheists with Christians there, where are we going with this conversation?
Because the whole point of this conversation is that all humans must come to the realization that they're not good. No matter how good we think we are, no matter how good people say we are. I've been called an angel many times in my life. Does that make me good? No, I am not good. No human is good. All have fallen short of the glory of God. All have sinned.
That's assuming that you take it to that into that space, that you assume that there is only good in God.
Here's the thing that you need to understand. I don't assume anything. These are the words of God. I am only the messenger. Don't think that I am believing in some fairy tale, JC. I don't believe in fairy tales. I like watching fairy tales. I enjoy fairy tales a lot.
Never-ending story. Reach the stars. Fly a fantasy. Dream a dream. And what you see will be. Try to keep their secrets real. I'm bold behind the clouds. And there upon a rainbow is the answer to a never-ending story.
I'm autistic, but I am not saying things that come from a fairy tale.
But the atheist would say that you don't have any proof of God. There are 1,000 of these TikTok live posts where people argue the existence or non-existence of God. I think those are a waste of time because, you're not going to change anybody's mind. Most of those posts are there to convince somebody not to have a conversation. What I do appreciate about your forum is that it has become more of a discussion than just a pronouncement. So I appreciate that.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I always like to tell people I'm not here to debate and I'm not here to argue. I will sit down and have a beer with my friend Mike Choi. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
And that's all I'm doing. God told me to use the devil's tools against him, and that's all I'm doing right now. I'm just using the devil's tools against him and talking to his children.
God himself is the only father we have, and we are his true children.
If God really were your father, you would love me, because I came from God, and now I am here.
I did not come on my own authority, but he sent me.
Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to listen to my message.
You are the children of your father, the devil, and you want to follow your father's desires. From the very beginning, he was a murderer and has never been on the side of truth. Because there is no truth in him. When he tells a lie, he is only doing what is natural to him. Because he is a liar and the father of all lies.
But I tell the truth, and that is why you do not believe me.
Okay, well.
Hey, cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Salud. Kampai. Kombe.
What's your ethnicity?
I'm actually North Korean.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not.
There's no reason we need to be shackled by the strictures of the employee-employer relationship. Unless, of course, you're into that sort of thing. In which case, I got some shackles in the back. I'm just kidding. But seriously, I've got them.
But yes, I am. No and yes. My father was born in Seoul.
Pyongyang? No?
No, my father was born in Seoul, but my grandfather was a police officer in Pyongyang.
Oh, shoot.
Before the war broke out. And also, I did a 23andMe DNA test, and my little brother, Chosen, uploaded my DNA to a DNA calculator, and I found out that I'm Kim Jong-un's distant uncle.
Wait, there's no way. You're serious?
100%.
So I might as well call you Mr. Kim.
I used to joke about it when I was growing up, just for obvious reason, being South Korean, growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, where the whites, the blacks, and the Mexicans were all telling me to go back to China. I used to joke about it and say, yeah, I'm related to Kim Jong-il. Like, I'm North Korean. Oh. But I find out all this stuff later on in life.
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told us.